Grassley?
Yeah, Professor Erik, why are large corporations like Johnson & Johnson turning to the bankruptcy system to resolve these tort cases? But that leads me to your opinion. Should our focus be on the bankruptcy system or more properly on a broken mass tort system?
That's a great question, Senator Grassley. I do think probably there's enough problems going around where both deserve some attention. But I do think that the reason why a lot of companies are opting into bankruptcy for the reasons I noted in my oral statement, which is that if you are seeking global settlement on an expedited timeline, bankruptcy offers that. Also, in terms of, there's a fear that there are a lot of non-meritorious claims entering the system. MDL has not proven adept at addressing that phenomenon. And bankruptcy may not be adept at it either, but at least that it does represent an option at this point. So I think that's the reason why a lot of corporate debtors are opting into bankruptcy, hoping to have finality, hoping to have certainty, but also hoping to settle this quickly. And that can be very good for victims, the idea of getting a recovery on a short timeline. Remember, these cases in MDL, if the bankruptcy didn't exist, these cases would be sent back to the MDL process. You don't get your day in court in MDL. You're captive of that system. We should be very clear about that. You do not get your day in court. There are bellwether trials, but that's it. So you're along for the ride as a claimant in that process as well. It has a lot of benefits for the right type of case, but most modern mass tort cases are not going to thrive and reach resolution in an MDL process.
Okay, Mr. Haas, can you tell us what will happen if Johnson & Johnson's currently pledge of 8 9/10 billion runs out, and how will Johnson & Johnson ensure that Talc claimants achieve a fair measure of justice into the necessary future as long as the Talc claims arise?
Currently, we're in the tort system, so we will be litigating in the tort system until such a point in time that we reach another arrangement with the claimants as recommended by the bankruptcy court. And in the tort system, sir, Johnson & Johnson prevails in the vast majority, the overwhelming majority of the cases, 76% of the cases that have been tried. So to the extent that we will be litigating in the tort system, that $8.9 billion will fund litigation for decades and decades to come, in which case we believe, based upon the track record to date, that we will prevail in most of those cases because these claims are meritless. But it will take decades. The plaintiffs in the last bankruptcy hearing affirmatively represented and told the court that you can try no more than 20 cases a year. At that rate, it won't just be the 3,000 years to try the existing cases, but it would be 20,000 years to try the cases that they say now exist. So ultimately, at the end of the day, the $8.9 billion is going to go to one place: lawyers who are litigating this case. A bankruptcy resolution would provide, and is the only way to provide in the short term, an equitable resolution, not only for the current claimants, but the future claimants. That is the only way that these claimants will receive their money.
If your settlement is approved, what would be the minimum settlement for each individual plaintiff?
That ultimately is decided by the plaintiff lawyers through what's called the TDP process, which they set up a tort distribution process, effectively what it is. The number that is relevant from the company's perspective is the $8.9 billion that they requested that we provide as a condition of making that resolution. So ultimately, that is in the hands of the plaintiff lawyers.
Okay. Mr. Hessler, outside of the divisional merger context, how often do you encounter non-consensual third-party releases in these tort cases?
Outside of the bankrupt, oh, I'm sorry. Was that for me?
Yes.
Outside of the mass tort context, make sure I understand your question, how often are the non-consensual third-party releases litigated? Within a narrow confine of the United States Trustee's Office frequently brings objections to third-party releases. In the mass tort context, it's going to be litigated almost every time that it's included in a plan.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks, Senator Grassley. Senator Klobuchar.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for calling this important hearing. After a company filed for